in no mood for trouble.
What?
There's an old saying, first customer of the day is always the most trouble. But like I say, I'm in no mood for it. I'm in no mood for trouble. I'm in no mood for it. I'm in no mood for trouble. I'm in no mood for it. I'm in no mood for trouble. I'm in no mood for it. I'm in no mood for trouble. I'm in no mood for it. I'm in no mood for trouble. First customer of the day is always the most trouble.
I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
We have a user error apparently up on Facebook.
I saw that. Yeah, Facebook's hating.
Or Facebook.
I don't know why.
Scary. Oh, because they know what's about to go down.
Yeah, because it's gonna be too scary. They said we're not allowed to do spooky, scary.
We're about to get spooky. And who better to get spooky with than our good friend, Priyanka Bhakta. Welcome to the show.
dropping in.
So majestic, such a majestic entrance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please, no pictures, please.
This is the first time we have you on to talk about things that are more fun than usual.
What's better than dead people?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The only thing better than dead people are dead people that don't stay dead.
And cryptids.
And cryptids. I only learned what that was like last year.
Yeah, like I actually that's a true fact because I didn't know they had like a name until I started listening to like podcasts and like spooky stuff, and then I was like, "What the fuck?" I can say fuck. Yeah, it's your dress channel. I can say fuck. I can say fuck.
Say whatever you want.
I've had a lot of complaints filed from older relatives about the quote unquote F bombs in our shows.
Profanity.
It is what it is. They're not our audience.
This is not meant for children under the age of 14.
Yeah.
I'm flipping my phone.
14.
Yeah, I know that Priyanka and I have personally spent countless hours talking about the subject of the paranormal, just hours and hours, FaceTiming, just talking about ghosts and the supernatural, just all sorts of crazy shit like that. It's such a wormhole. It's such fun.
It is a wormhole, especially if you're just like talking on what a ghost is. That you can spend hours just debating on what you feel like a ghost could be.
Yeah.
Whether you want to go on the religious aspect side of it, whether you want to go on a scientific side of it. I always feel like it's just energy. When you die, you release energy. And if you
follow-up question, I was going to ask what a scientific ghost would be.
Go ahead.
That's how I've always just felt like it, because they say they say DMT is on every living creature and it gets released upon when you die. DMT, they also, other people say, is the way to shoot yourself off into the spiritual realm. So to me, it's like when we think about ghosts, usually they're horrific ways to die or tragic ways to die. So it's like in that moment, you're a ghost, your energy is released and you're there in that spot, it reforms into the last shape, because you're confused. Your energy doesn't know where to go.
And to add to that with the scientific part, if you think back to like Newton, his ideas of how energy is not created nor destroyed.
Right.
And you have like the aspect of mass and matter and how you can always change the form of energy, but you can't necessarily destroy it. So if you think of our consciousness as energy, because our physical bodies, right, they can get deteriorated. That's the circle of life, whatever. You can get into the scientific part of that. However, if you think about energy and consciousness, where does that go? Like, am I not, well, there's a whole other aside of psychoanalytics of what consciousness is. Am I the only person alive? Am I living in a simulation? Are ghosts even real? That's the whole point of what we're here. But if you're going to go the scientific route, there's always that idea of like energy can't be destroyed or created. So where does our consciousness go? And I think that kind of goes with like ghosts, like any ghost story, ghost movie, ghost situation always has energy attached to something. There's, paranormal investigators use I almost said EMT. Yeah. Like EVP methods.
EVP, yeah.
I was going to say EMT. Methods, ghost boxes, like even like ultraviolet light, kind of different light forms to capture energy. We take photos. I was actually going to show you a story later of like I've captured a ghost on camera, and it's like things that we can't explain with just the human eye. And I think that the unknown, like we've talked about before, is such an interesting and complex place that we try so hard to find scientific and understandable ways to explain things.
Right.
Sometimes we probably we're gonna take too much time and energy to understand something that we can't. So that's why I think the paranormal world and just like UFOs, ghosts, like all that kind of cryptid, any kind of like spooky ideology is so interesting because whether you're a skeptic, believer, or somewhere in the middle, there's some form that can there's something you've experienced probably in your life that you can't explain.
Right.
Science can't explain it.
Yeah.
Your common sense can't explain it. It's just unexplained. And I think that's what makes it so cool.
Definitely. Yeah. That being said, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We've almost been doing the show for 2 years now, so I don't know what stories we have and have not told on the show, unless it's like a recent thing. So if I'm repeating any stories, my apologies. But one ghost story I have personally.
Let's get into it.
It's like what you're saying about. I think there's from a certain aspect, you can hear the story and you can explain some things, but it gets to a point where it's like there's some things where it's like I don't know, man, like that seems like a little too far out of the realm of coincidence. But for me, it was like I was in high school and growing up in old Catlin, Illinois, there is a cemetery there called God's Acre Cemetery, like a super old cemetery from back in the founding days of Catlin or some shit like that. And so I decided to go ghost hunting with my girlfriend at the time. We took a video camera out there and everything, as one does. And so when you go out there, you got to drive clear past a neighborhood, past a cornfield. You get to a train track that just goes off. Once you pass the train track, you're just in a field basically. And you keep walking, and this cemetery plot is back there, and it's roped off. That's where the boundaries of the cemetery are. It's just this kind of rope fencing. And so as we approach the cemetery, obviously it's spooky. It's the fucking dead of night, and we're at this old ass graveyard. But we get right to the opening of it. We take one step inside, and as soon as we step inside, we start hearing what sounds like a woman crying, and we back the fuck up immediately. And we couldn't hear it anymore. We were like, what the fuck was that? We're both tweaking about it. So we decided to do it again. We hear it again. We're like, what the shit? Finally, we're like, maybe it's nothing. Let's just go for it. So we take a few big steps in, and now we can hear it really loud. What distinctly sounds like a woman crying. And so we got the fuck out of there. Now it's one of those things where you're going to explain it away, where it's like, a train was coming, so it's a little shortly after that. So we could have just been hearing the train, but it's the timing of every time we heard it, it just happened to be as we stepped into the old cemetery. But what was scarier was later after the fact, when I was hanging out with a buddy of mine. We were just driving around, and we decided to park in the other cemetery in Catlin, and we were just parked there, just sharing ghost stories with each other. And I shared well, no, I hadn't even shared the story with him yet. I hadn't told him my story yet. And he started telling me all of his stuff. And he had mentioned that his grandparents keep a lot of books about the history of Catlin. And one of them was like ghost stories of Catlin. And one of said ghost stories was about basically a weeping woman at God's Acre Cemetery. Because if you go out there, there's a lot of vandalized gravestones and stuff that were busted up. Apparently in the 70s, some kids went out there and busted shit up with some baseball bats and whatnot. But one grave was left untouched, and it was the grave of this baby that was said that this woman always came out and cried over the baby's grave and stuff. And that's the only grave still standing. And people say they can hear the woman crying. When he told this to me, without me having told him my story, my fucking blood ran cold. I was like, that's just, that's the hard confirm. That's where the coincidence comes into play. Like, somebody explained that part to me, where it's like, that's exactly what we experienced. And I never even told this dude what happened. So I proceeded to tell him what happened. And we were like, fuck that. That's what I got to kick it off with. But yeah, that shit was like, my blood ran cold as soon as he said that about the woman. I was like, oh my God.
That is crazy.
See, like, it's stuff like that where it's like you don't want to believe it, because they always say if you give energy to it, it like feeds off that or whatever. But like, my story was kind of similar to that, where like this was in college. I was like a freshman year of college. I was 18, just turned 19, and we got like these tickets through school where we got to go on Chicago ghost tours. So if you ever go to Chicago, they do like the gangster bus tours where you basically just get drunk and you go on these buses with these weird ass tour guides that are actually pretty lit, and you just like tour different places and you get off and take pictures. And so we got these like $10 tickets. They're typically like $30 to $50, and we got them for $10 for being students. So I dragged my friend Tim to go with me, because the pickup spot was also right on campus, because the campus I went to in Chicago, one of the buildings is voted one of the most haunted places in Chicago. Funny story. So I'm sure as movie buffs, you've seen Rosemary's Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Rosemary's Baby is actually based off of this building that was on our college campus. And it was in the basement of how this woman, Rosemary, I don't remember, maybe her real name was Rosemary. I can't remember. It's been 10 years. But like, she had a baby, but when the baby was born, it was born with like these wings and fangs, and they tried to kill it and burn it, but they couldn't burn it. And it was like that was like the real life story of it. And somehow they ended up getting it killed, whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Voted as one of the most haunted places because it has has insane history. Like, there's women walking up and down the stairs. There's you can catch apparitions. The tour guys were showing us these spooky baby images of just like them running and dancing around in the front yard. It's like crazy. So we did this ghost tour. They took us to like various places in Chicago, because if you've ever been to Chicago and you see those corn cob buildings, if you've ever seen the skyline, those are also one of the most haunted buildings in the city of Chicago, because 25 people died trying to construct them. So if you stay the night, they're condos. So if you end up staying the night there, you can hear people screaming in the middle of the night, because
that's terrifying.
They like fell off the building when they died into the river of Chicago. And then you can also see, like, people have reported to see hands coming from the river because they're drowning. Like, it's pretty intense. But we did the tour, whatever. And we were like, oh, like we didn't really catch anything on the camera. But we decided it's October, it's spooky season, we're college kids. So we would walk the campus in October. Like, this was, I remember the date exactly, because it was October 10th that we did the tour. It was a Friday. And then for like 2 weeks, just to be cool college kids, we would go on midnight walks around our college campus. And our college campus, this like particular building I'm talking about, was right next to our student center. So our dorms, we could go out the student center and just walk the campus right next to this haunted building. And we would do this at midnight for like 2 weeks. We would just walk around, stop in front of the house and stare at it. Because we were at one point, we were like, we don't believe this is haunted. Like, there's no way. This is on our college campus. It's a bunch of 20-year-old kids just fucking around, drinking, all this shit. Why would this haunted ass building be on our college? So every day we would walk past it, stare at it for like a good 15, 20 minutes, nothing. Until one day, this is closer to like Halloween. It was like the 20th, 25th, something like that. So it's been about 2 weeks. Tim and I are walking our usual route. We get off at a little bit outside of actually our dorm. So like our dorm was on the other side. It was like on this side is the entrance. This side is student center. This is the building. And then the rest of the college campus is like on the other side. So we start walking. We get past maybe half, like right when we're about to approach the student center. And I feel this like overwhelming sensation that something's staring at me. And they always say that ghost thing of like, oh, so you feel this like heaviness. And mind you, it's like 35 degrees. We've done this walk every day, like I mentioned. I'm not kidding, like every day for 2.5 weeks. And so I go to my friend Tim and I'm staring down on the sidewalk right as we're about to pass this house. And I go, Tim, I feel like if I look up, something is going to stare at me. And he goes, you feel that too? And I said, and I hit him on the shoulder. I said, don't fuck with me. I am terrified. Like, when they say in the scary movies that if like you feel like something is staring at you and if you look up, something's going to look at you, that is what I'm feeling. He's like, I am dead serious. I feel that exact same way. We're both just staring at the ground. We're not even looking at each other. And so what we told each other is we walked to the house, and mind you, we're on the sidewalk and the building is like far. You have to like walk into it to get in there. Mm-hmm. We can't look at it because we feel like if we look at it, something's going to stare at us. Like that's how intense this feeling was. Like I can't even explain it to you how intense. It gives me shivers. And so I told him to take out his phone and just start doing this, like straight up, straight forward, not looking at his phone. We're literally just doing this. We book it back to our dorm rooms because we are terrified if we look at this, something is going to look back at us. So we ran huffing and puffing in that 30-degree weather in our dorm rooms, going through the pictures. There's about 35 pictures in there because we straight up just kept tapping that iPhone 4 or what the fuck it was back in 10 years later. And we don't have anything, it's just the same basic picture until this one picture was different than the rest of them. And I'm going to show you this.
Word.
Okay, I don't care. Okay.
We'll show
So, can you see my screen?
No.
No, it lost permission. What the heck? I'm trying to accept it. Oh, I want to show you this so badly. I should share it to you guys so you guys can open it. Because this picture, I kid you not, if you look inside of...
Text it to me real quick, and I can pull it up.
I sent it in the chat.
What?
Did you get it? I, for some reason, can't share. It's saying...
Sorry, this content isn't available right now.
What the fuck? It's on my Facebook.
Facebook is giving us problems right now.
It really is. What the fuck?
No.
Share it to you on Facebook.
If you just text me the picture, I can just pull it up real quick.
I'll text it to you. Let me take a picture of it. Because this shit, I kid you not, when I saw this picture, he threw his phone down. My friend Tim is a skeptic, 1000% a skeptic. Oh, I can see it on my phone. I don't like it. I don't like it. And he started tearing up because he dropped his phone immediately and just starts shaking. Because in none of the other photos, there's nothing else in this little image. But if you zoom in to the staircase, you can see a full body apparition on the stairs. And I have it saved. It's from November 23rd, 2003. And it freaks me out to this day because
I feel like I don't know if I'm looking at what you're talking about or not. I thought I saw it right as I pulled it up. You started talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, yes."
Come on, Can you see
Hold on.
it?
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Almost there. Okay. I was like, I will just throw my link in the YouTube chat.
I was about to just start looking at it myself. I'm like, focus. There's a job to do.
I was like, because I can't even, it won't let me for whatever reason.
Technical difficulties.
God, what a day. But it is literally, it was one of those things that you're like, after that, whatever. You can't come back from that.
No, that shit's spooky. That shit's spooky.
And it was just, and like, I refused after that day. We refused to walk past that location. Like,
Right.
I was so terrified because at that point, the ghost started feeling familiar with us. It started attaching itself to us, that enough to it show itself to us, which was kind of what we were doing. Like, we were just fucking teenagers being douchebags, not believing this. But it got to a point where this apparition felt comfortable enough to show itself to us that it literally, like, it manifested. And it was terrifying because I couldn't even walk past this building for over 4 months because I was terrified that this thing was going to latch onto me. Okay, here we go. We're going to show you this.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it in the full screen here.
Now, if you zoom in to the window, you see how far away we are. So there's not a glare. It wasn't a reflection of us because we have 35 images of this exact picture.
Here?
And if you zoom in right there, do you see a long standing skinny person in the staircase? Right? Like if you put your mouse right. Yeah, right there. Do you see?
I mean, as soon as you sent me the picture, my eye immediately went to this.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Only one that had that picture. And we saw 35 of them. No other one. We didn't even move our phone. Like
Yo, that's fucked.
you know,
The more I look at it,
and it terrifies me to this day
I
because
can, like, see the face like very clearly. That was
yeah,
fucked up.
you can see it. It was the only one.
Spooky.
And like, I mean, like after that was not my first ghost experience. I had one where my high school, I went to Westville High School, shout out to WHS, and our gymatorium was known to be haunted. And I did theater and I was always in theater. And like everyone else, like it was the running joke that every theater kid has seen this ghost. And I had started theater at 8th grade as like a little like munchkin thing and Cinderella. And then I progressed into being like, you know, throughout the years of actually being in high school. And I remember it was my senior year. It was our fall musical. And at this time, I still hadn't seen the ghost. Like all these other people have talked about seeing this ghost. And I was getting low-key jealous. And there was this one kid who would always like hide around set and fuck with the cat, like us, just like throughout the day. He would like hide in behind props, whatever. And I was sitting there and I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast, and I was behind a curtain. And I heard footsteps, like, because we had 2 curtains. We had the main curtain, and then we had a back curtain where you could, like, get from the dressing room to, like, get on stage to, like, surprise, I'm here. So I'm sitting there waiting by myself. And when this is during rehearsal, and I hear footsteps on the other side of the back curtain. And I go, DJ, leave me the fuck alone. And I hear the footsteps, and I start following them, and I go, DJ, haha. And I surprised him, and I pushed him through the curtain. I literally pushed an individual, and I go, and it sounded like a loud thump to the point where I thought I like pushed him too hard that he fell over on stage. And I go, oh shit, I'm so sorry, DJ. I lift the curtain. Nobody's on stage with me.
Nobody's there.
And DJ's all the way in the AV area. Nobody was on stage with me. And I started panic. I was like, I heard footsteps. I very clearly pushed an apparition or something. Like I pushed a human feeling thing down that I heard a thud. And then I quickly lifted it. Nobody was there. And, you know, like just capturing that photo and then having that like touching experience solidified that ghosts are real for me. And you can't tell me twice because, and it's just one of those things that it's like, you know, there's skeptics and there's things to always like question.
Yeah.
You experience that, it's nothing else. Like you can't, like there's nothing.
It's wild. No, it's wild. You know, like when I was a kid, we always thought the house we grew up in was haunted because there was a big, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like a dark maroon stain in our front porch, just like right by the front door. It's huge. almost my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But
You
You
froze
cut
up.
out. The ghosts are getting to us.
oh yeah, my internet kind of said. I said there was a stain. You know, it like a body decomposed there or something. You know, and that was just a stain left. And like growing up, you know, we'd always hear like a rush down the stairs, a whoom, like somebody fell down these wooden stairs we had. My mom would be like, "It's just the cat," and we'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's what, yeah, okay." But it's like, no, there's no way
Yeah,
a
put the
cat could do that.
Right.
But I never remembered like seeing anything. The first time I actually saw a ghost, I lived down in St. Louis when I was in high school, and one of my friends, he started messing around with this girl. Um, Shout out to Eric Jones. She was up into Satan and stuff like that. She thought that was cool. So she's like, listen, you guys got a Ouija board. If you give it to me,
Right.
I can help make this work a lot better than it is.
Doesn't
So we're
matter.
like,
I hear this story. I'm still upset about the whole.
so Eric went with her one night. She like cut him and stuff. He bled all over this Ouija board, whatever.
No!
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You even feel bad for these motherfuckers.
So we're over at my friend Chris's house. We're smoking, and it's like, you know, just the boys. So we're like, yo, let's use this Ouija board. Like, let's see how good it is. So we were like in Chris's house, using it, and we were talking to a ghost that was like, yeah, I'm there. You know, like it was real chill. You know, the ghost was all
Damn it.
nice. It was nice, friendly, said that we were really chill guys. You know, it's what it's like. All you guys do, sit out back and smoke. We're like, yeah. So we're like, you should show yourself to us. And it went to yes, real fast, went to yes. So we're like, cool. So everything was cool that night. You know, we knew what we were doing with Ouija boards. We closed the portals out and all that good stuff, got everything away. 2 weeks later, I'm over at my friend Chris's house that we were at. We were like smoking, woke up smoking some weeds and stuff, probably a couple joints, making some pizza rolls, you know, doing our thing. And like his house, it's kind of set up. You can kind of see my house in the background, how the living room here is nice and open. The TV's right there. Kitchen's over this way. You might see a lot more of that later on this month. But it's kind of set up the same way. So we were like up in his kitchen, sitting at the table eating pizza rolls. His TV in the front room turned on, and like we were mid conversation, you know, two kids stoned and shit. And so like we were eating, and I just remember the TV turned on. We both looked over, and there's a guy standing in his living room, all looking nice, dressed in a suit, looking nice, you know, hand in his pocket, looking at the TV. And it's like when we looked over at him, he looks over at us. And like it's like one of those things you're just kind of looking for a second, and then you go back eating pizza rolls for a second, and you're like, wait, hold up.
You're just casually eating pizza rolls while this strange man is staring at you. Continue. That's the high mind. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. We both went back to like, we were both talking about some shit. We both went, and then we're like, wait a second. We both looked back over. His TV was on still, and nobody was there in the living room, and then the TV turned off. And we're like, oh. But then we were like, oh, it's that ghost. Okay, that's right. So like,
He said he was gonna come by.
yeah, he said he'd show himself, and he did. So you know what? He was a friendly ghost. Never got possessed. So
That you know of.
And,
Well,
that personality from that ghost, you don't know.
the second time we had used that, it was more intense than that time.
I didn't know about that story. I thought you were about to tell what I'm assuming the story you're getting ready to tell.
So the second time,
You
and it
used
was,
it twice?
oh yeah.
Oh,
So this was not long after that happened. It was about this time of year, you know, September, October. It's nice. It's starting to get cold out. My friend Larry was like, yo, I know this place that's like supposedly haunted by this little girl's ghost. You guys should come out. So Eric Jones was coming out. He's like, I'm gonna bring the Ouija board. I'm like, bet you should do that. Like, let's do that. So he grabs that. So we go out with this guy, Larry, his girlfriend, Amanda, and then this guy, James Dean. Props James Dean, not the actor, not the famous guy. I think there's a porn star too named James Dean.
Was it the porn star?
Not that guy either. But I mean, this guy, he could do it. He could give him props. He could do it. But So the 5 of us, we go out to this place. The whole gimmick of this place that was told to me was that it was like back in like the 50s ish, there was a church out in the middle like nowhere. This is way out of St. Louis. Um and it was just an old wooden church. Um they had told some guy, this guy was crazy on some other shit. They told him, "Hey buddy, we're done with you. Like you can't come back." So the next week he decided to come back while they were all in there, chained the one door closed that was there, burnt that motherfucker down. Okay, that's what was told to me. So I was like, okay, sounds interesting. And they're like, there's a little girl that she peek out from behind trees and stuff. So we go out to this cemetery in the middle of nowhere. And it's like Chase was saying, his cemetery, you know, there's like blood on tombstones and a lot of weird shit. And you're like, you just had that feeling again, like you were talking about, like you're being watched, just something in that atmosphere. Right when we get out there, there's a burnt down church, you know, the huge cemetery. Most of them have the same dates on it, I assume, from the church. I'm like, this is weird. This is wild. So it's like if you were just kind of looking around at the tree line, every now and then you'd see this little silhouette of like, look like some little kid looking out from behind the tree and getting back real quick, you know? And you're like, yeah, like hide and seek. And that was like the whole thing. So we're like, okay, we noticed it was the same tree that everybody kept noticing this little silhouette at. So me and Eric were like, hey, we're gonna go sit by that tree and use the Ouija board real quick. Let's see what we can do here. So we sit down under this tree. We started up and Eric's talking to it and he's like, yo, you know, is anybody there? It goes to yes. And when it goes to yes, everybody's like, that's with us. The other 3, they're all freaking out because there's like no wind. It was very still night, but the tree that we were sitting under, the branch right above us was starting to bob up and down like something was sitting on it. So, you know, Eric was like, yo, listen, we're not here to like, we're just here to look with stuff, you know, look at stuff. We're not here to mess with nothing. We're not trying to disturb nothing. And it just started spelling and it spelled get out. And I'm like, listen, because the other 3, they're like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, listen, we should stay. Just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
Hear me out.
Just a little bit. I had 2 ideas. One was we needed to stay. Well, you know what? If a ghost tells you to leave and you don't, I feel like that's when shit's about to get pretty cool.
Cool.
And 2, I was like, somebody should go into that burnt down church and take something, because I feel like they wouldn't like that either.
I just wanted to point out that I feel like Chasing Shep is based more in truth than we thought. Hearing the story again, it's like, you see what I mean? You see how Shep unleashes evil? You know?
Story is not like, far from the truth.
Well, I still talk to my friend Eric. I'm gonna have to get him up here sometime so he can cameo, because he's always right there with me on this shit. He was down to stay too. He was like, bet, yeah, it's gonna be cool. And the other 3 were like, they drove and stuff, so they're like, we're gonna leave. You guys can stay. We're leaving though. And I'm like, all right, well, fuck that. I ain't gonna get stuck out here. So we close up the session on the Ouija board, put that away, and we're walking back past this church to get into the car. And this girl, Amanda, it's like I said, it's kind of like now a little bit warmer than it is tonight here. It's like fucking going to be 25 here tonight. That's disgusting. But she was wearing like a tube top thing, you know, spaghetti strap. That's it. Spaghetti strap thing with a little nice little over sweater, right? And we're walking past this church. She starts like freaking out, flipping out, screaming and shit. And we're like, what, dude? And she takes the sweater part down, and on her back is 3 fresh claw marks down.
Demons.
Like, and we're like, oh, yeah, we should get the fuck up out of here. And we left. Like, that was probably like the scariest encounter of like anything that's like, that was obviously some fucked up shit.
That's literally like toy number 1, if you read the warning, is if you have 3 scratches, 4 is fine, even 2 is fine. Shit, 42 is fine. But 3 demons. That's a demon. And with those, sometimes with like Ouija boards, like I can get into it. I actually listened to a podcast where it talked about.
I've got one hanging on my bedroom wall.
Yeah, I'm good. Chase and I are like, no, we won't do that.
I had an ex whose mom, like, you even brought up Ouija boards, and her, like, the color would go out of her face. Like, something happened with her. I never got the story from her, but like something happened to her.
My dad wouldn't let me bring the Ouija board in our house. When I lived with
I
him.
won't let Darian bring, because he wants to do it so badly, and I will not, because yes, I know it's made by the or not the candy companies. It's made by the board game people that made like Monopoly, whatever. But there's just more bad situations than there are good, and closing it out, you can never really close it out sometimes, because even if you do everything you're supposed to do, you got one powerful demon. He's just chilling on your back. You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
just more amused by anything that as many times as I've heard this story, it's the first time I'm having this realization of like, Shep really is Shep. He really is like, but hear me out. Maybe
anytime, I mean, the curiosity always got me. I always thought of myself as a John Constantine. Like, if shit got real, I can handle it. I feel like I can get it.
we would jump into action if shit got.
Because like, in a lot of this all happened down in St. Louis, and a lot of it's like, you can't really explain any of those stories. I had one more of you guys were talking about cryptoids earlier, like that kind of stuff. Like like the legends of like skinwalkers and stuff like that, right? Okay,
they're the oldest like cryptids, I believe, in at least North America.
Yeah, me and my friends back then, we decided, fuck it. What, like, we were like questioning a lot. So we were like looking at religion. What is religion? Well, somebody just wrote a fucking book, and somebody found it one day and was like, this is the word. So we can we can do this. Like, we can write stuff and bury it in the ground, and maybe somebody will find it after like nuclear holocaust and be like, this is the fucking word. So we started doing that shit, right? So we had all these little spots that we had written stories about and made up fucking things, cannabis rock and battling these people and all this shit. One of these spots we had was a place we called the Holy Lands, and it was like a little nook of like forest that was in this neighborhood that my friends lived in, right? So that's where they always like went to sneak and smoke when they were like 13, 14, just starting to smoke. We were like 17, 18 at the time. And I went out there, and my friend Chris, he was telling me about the creatures. And he's like, before we get there, he's like, but there's creatures on the Holy Lands. And I'm like, what do you mean there's creatures on the Holy Lands? And he's like,
Shep, sorry, where is this again?
This was down in St. Louis. And then, so into Missouri.
Got it.
And he's like, yeah, he's like, he's like, they're out there. He's like, but when we get out there, we just don't talk about them. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So like, I always went out there, chilled one night on one, as we've learned through my shit.
I'm like freaking out for you, Shep. I'm like, you need to get like sage.
I've got sage.
Is it the good kind? Because there's a wrong kind for those of you that have possessions. Ask your local crystal store if you got the right sage.
Yeah. I got it from Spirit Halloween, so I'm pretty sure it's probably the wrong kind.
That's God.
But spiritual healing.
Yeah, it's like the Taco Bell of spiritual world. I got that Diablo sauce. I'll be fine.
So we're out there, and I'm like, Chris, what about these creatures? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what? Like, you're dead ass telling me if I bring up and I'm like talking about creatures, they're gonna come. And no shit. Not very long after I brought up these creatures, you started hearing like weird animal type noises like running around us in the brushes, like all around us and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, what the hell's that? And he's like, I told you, man, you don't bring them up, dude. Like, you don't talk about them and they won't come. And like, it got pretty intense enough that all of us that were out there are like, we got to get the fuck out of these little woods right now. Like, this is some shit that's running around us right now. And he's like, I think it's a creature. And I'll never forget, like, we ran up into my friend Chris's yard, his little backyard. And I don't know if anybody saw us down there or something, but all we heard is what it sounded like to me was like somebody was taking a baseball bat and like slamming it on the street, but it was just like fink, fink, That's all we could hear, like behind us when we was running, and we was like, "Let's get the fuck out of here." But
God.
See, it's like with stuff like that, like
that's weird.
the paranormal world is so fucked. I can't even like. There's so much that goes into it. Like my biggest fear. Now we just got this house, as you can see. For those that are previous watchers, I have a different background. And I've learned like through just paranormal, the more I listen to true crime and paranormal, the more I get like paranoid about everything. And one of the spookiest stories to this day, that's probably one of my like top 3 most scary stories, Skinwalkers being one of them, is the Black-Eyed Children. Have you ever heard of that story?
I have heard of that. And I think even Adventure Time dabbled into those little
demons.
pretty much, yeah.
Demons. So for those of you who don't know, Chase included, Black-Eyed Children are this like mythological ghost creature thing. They're children. They're like these little children that like show up either on Halloween or random. Typically they're known to show up on like Halloween or like spooky time, and they'll come to your door and they'll knock, like just a casual thing, and be like, "Hello, sir, ma'am, I need to come inside. And I need your help." And they'll talk very softly, very, very childlike, innocent, like, "Excuse me, knock, knock, knock. Can you please help me? I'm looking for my mom." And they don't look at you. Like they're not like, if you look in your peephole or whatever, they're like staring down and you can't like see them because it's just dark. And they're like, "Can you please let us in? We just want to use your phone." And you're like, don't. First off, if they're creepy looking children that are asking for your phone and they're not freaking stressed out, you do not answer.
Yeah.
Don't answer.
What's that gonna happen?
So they'll just like start like be like, "No, please, please, we really need your help. Let us in." But if you look closely, they're like, you know how we have white sockets in our eyes, whatever. It's just black. It's just dead black. And if you look at them, you just have this overwhelming sense of despair, sadness, like all these like terrible, distinguished, like distress, despair. Like you just feel like you just got like your child died. And the legend has it is if you let them inside your house, they'll murder you and they'll just disappear. And I think like the light, have you ever seen the movie? I'm sure you have. They Come Knocking is loosely based off of Black-Eyed Children, the myth of Black-Eyed Children, because they'll show up to your house demanding for help, demanding for like instance. And as an adult, you have this like undenying help to help this like poor innocent, usually it's a girl or a boy or 2 girls or whatever. It's usually 2 of them. And you want to help them, but they're demon children that'll come and kill you. And the way I tell it, it's a whole deeper like mythology of how they're like demons and they're there to take your soul. But it freaks me out so much because it's just like, I would be the first one to be like, "Let me help you, like what 911, let me," but then I know this story. And you hear about it so often of just like people letting in strangers that are like, "I need your help. I need your help. Please help me. Please help me." But they're like, "Okay, what's your mom's phone number? Like, what's your mom's name? What's your mom's phone number?" And they can't respond because they don't know how, because they're demons. And that's the dead giveaway. But it's just like one of those, like, I just love cryptid stories because it's just so terrifying. And we don't know about it unless you like encounter it. And the people that have encountered Black-Eyed Children
didn't live to tell the tale.
Didn't live to tell the tale. It's just like, my face is so hot. Like I can't.
That one, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect to actually get spooked by any of these stories tonight, but that one's got me. I'm currently house sitting, so
don't answer the door.
You knowing that you're in like more like comfortable environments than I am. Like all I see, like I'm sitting by this glass door right now, looking into pitch darkness with woods and like I don't know. All day today since I've been here, I've been so. I'm gonna have to talk to my sister when she gets back. Like, dog, is your house haunted? Because my brother-in-law left this morning. So, I mean, there's always the strong possibility that he left the door open on his way out. But they got a pretty big house, and I'm here all by myself with these 2 dogs. So that doesn't help either, because these 2 dogs don't help shit. They're just like making the paranoia worse. But like, I came downstairs this morning, and the door to like the garage was just wide open. And so I was like, oh, well, I mean, he probably left it open. But at the same time, like I felt like I had been hearing noises and shit all day today, man. I will fucking leave a room or like leave an area of the house and I'll come back and something is different. Like something is different. There have been doors that fucking keep opening that I keep closing. And I'm like, I know the dogs aren't doing this. You know, like I've watched the dogs do it, but then there are other times where I'm like, no, fuck that. That shit was latched. Why is that door open? And so either somebody's here and is gonna fucking kill me tonight, or this
They're like actually watching the podcast from the closet. Like,
good on them for like waiting until nighttime to kill me, I guess. I mean, because this has been going on since this morning, and I took a nap today, so it's like they had their opportunity.
Maybe they're just catching a spot for the night, avoiding you.
I guess.
they're
But
just
it's all day today. I'm just like, oh god, like just been creeped the fuck out like multiple times today, and then of course, classic ice maker going off in the other room. You're just like, what's that fucking
the
noise?
dishwasher going.
Yeah. Well, their ice maker's like it's in a weird place too, and so like I went and checked it out, and of course it was the ice maker, and I'm just like, this is some horror movie bullshit right here. Like I'm gonna fucking go to check out the ice maker, and then be like, oh, it's just the ice maker. Oh, fucking ice pick to the neck.
Literally ice, and that's easy because those things will melt. But like that's like the thing for me. Like if I'm ever going to a house or when I'm like looking at a house or apartment, like realtors or like apartment landlords always make fun of me because one of the first questions is, was somebody murdered here? And two, is this place haunted? And they'll always go, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, no, legit.
I'm like,
Now that I asked the question, you have to tell me, is this place haunted? Because, you know, like Chicago is one of the oldest cities. It's like there's I lived in buildings that used to be old hotel rooms. You know, another place that's super haunted is the Congress Plaza Hotel. Like a lot of apartment buildings in the city of Chicago used to be old hotels or used to be like brothels or speakeasies or like different types of energy located places. And one of my friends, Laura, shout out to Laura if we're going to do shout outs. Like she had this apartment that was built in like the 1800s, maybe like even like, cause that's typically how old Chicago buildings are. They're brick, they're old. And she had, she started noticing strange things happening. And like it was just like the faucet would be on in the middle of the night, thinking, oh, maybe one of her roommates left the faucet on, or the shower curtain would like wiggle or whatever. And you know, that's like typical. You think it's a draft or whatever. Darian had that same issue at his old apartment, but that place was also haunted, and that's a different story. But it's just little things like that would start to happen. But then you like kind of pay no attention to it until this one night. I remember her telling me, and she would send me videos of just like the shower curtain, and it's not just like, oh, like wind. It was like straight up like like somebody was like rattling it, and she was like sitting there like shaking and taking the video, but it was literally like. And one night, I remember her telling me she thought her roommate had come in at like 3:00 in the morning. So she got up and she was like cleaning or watching a movie or something. And she was like, hey, roommate, like, is that you? And the way her room was is that you would walk out and you would see her roommate's room like down the hall. And it was just like her door was open, but it's dark and you could see the window, and that's what the light was. And she saw a shadow figure fly from her closet to the bedroom. And that's why at first she thought it was an intruder because it was like dark and it was a full body apparition. So she grabs a baseball bat, like this is 3 girls living in an apartment, grabs a baseball bat, quickly turns on the light and checks every single room, or it checks every single crevice of that room. Nothing. She's brave. Shout out to her, because I would have freaked the fuck out, locked the door until 911. But she went straight in there. Nobody was there. And she even had like different experiences where her roommate started getting more aggressive and started like noticing things. And it's just like one of those things where if you start looking at like overarching stories of possession or just like negative energy, people that spirits latch onto tend to get more negative, or their mood changes, as we were talking about. Shep, how are you feeling? How's your mood?
I'm great, man. I'm chilling.
It's just like stuff like that. She long moved out of that apartment, but I remember she went to the crystal store and said that she had ghost problems, and they're like, oh, you're not the first one. And they have to get the special sage to like tell the spirits, hey, we're here with you. We can coexist together. You know, if we have freaky stuff, we'll always light a candle. But it is one of those things that's just like, people think that you're crazy until you're not crazy, until they actually physically see it, or you feel like there's a logical explanation. But then
hot girls here. Oh, hot girls here.
hey, hot girls, Cherry.
Hot girls here. Hot girls here. 17.
It's 18.
It's 18.
What does the XYZ stand for?
They usually wait till we're done. This is crazy.
Sexy.
Get those views though. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so, like, people look at you like you're crazy when you ask basic questions like, is this place haunted? Because the idea of ghosts and the paranormal is so, like, far-fetched that people don't want to believe it. But in reality, like, it's the truth. We can't explain shit. There's so many things that we can't explain that you can put towards religion or spirituality or whatever the fuck, or just basic science that we don't understand what the next is. And if you want to get into this weird dimension, the paranormal world is a different dimension.
Could be.
It just
Could
exists
be.
on a plane.
Yeah, it could be.
You know? So there's just, and then how do you explain mediums? I don't believe in a lot of mediums, but I do believe in like the Long Island medium, because it's just little coincidences of like, it doesn't make sense. But Chase, I'm just looking out for you. Maybe it's haunted. Don't get a Ouija board though, because that's when you're inviting.
You don't got to worry about that with me. I usually just get wrapped into whatever Shep unleashes. You know?
I just want to be their friends. I mean, like, you know, like I mean, if a demon comes through, I'll be like, listen, demon, you're here now. What's up? Like,
Let's
what
hang.
you need? What you need? Why would you hurt me? What you need?
He needs your soul, is what he needs.
Why have one when I could help him get a lot more? You know what I'm saying? If I was his friend.
That's true.
That's
know what
fair.
time it is.
Haven't you ever seen what is it called? Death Note?
What'd you say?
I said, haven't you seen Death Note? Isn't that the whole story where like he makes a friend to take his soul or whatever?
I mean, holler.
Yeah.
No,
We did
no,
that.
thank you.
We did that in high school. We had a little piece of paper. We'd just pass to people like, hey, sign that. And they'd sign it and be like, why? What's that? And when you unfolded, be like, I hereby sell my soul to us to sell for whatever we wanted.
Nice.
Monster out moment. I don't know for this week. Let's see.
I don't remember the rules of the monster out moment, which is why I'm not jumping in to do it.
I wasn't given a pre-note, so I have no idea.
I'm monstering out all month long. I'm gonna carve a pumpkin this week. I think I'm gonna my remixes should be out this week for some orange and black remixes.
It's true. I suppose some people could take a monster out moment to go check out Routine over on Nostalgic Studios YouTube, written and directed by myself. Get you in the Halloween spirit, and then you can monster out again in about a week or two with us for Halloween.
Yeah, about a week and a half at this point.
Doesn't even feel like it.
Actually,
Halloween is 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah.
So because of the shoot last week, it has thrown me off so bad that every time I've walked into like a store, like every time I go into Walmart or something, like since we filmed last Sunday, I'm like confused as to why all the Halloween shit's still out, or like why it's not on clearance. Like I swear to God,
usually we film and put it out like next day's Halloween. We got to get this shit filmed and out.
And now it's like, you know, a week after the fact, and we're still like 2 weeks out from Halloween and shit. And it's just
you're like, where are the turkeys?
I mean, that whole night, like everything was decorated, everybody was in costumes, like, you know, we had some candy, you know, like it's just.
It feels like we have had Halloween, yes.
It definitely felt like we celebrated Halloween. And so, like, since then, I'm just like, why is all this shit here? Yeah.
I know, right? And then it's like for me, I have like Halloween's my shit. Like October is my shit. But we moved, and the only thing I have decorated is like my mantle with like a Dollar Tree skeleton and like a pumpkin. where usually I have a Halloween tree that says boo with a little skull on top, and I have like skeletons everywhere, and I usually throw a big Halloween for my birthday. But like this year, with us moving and all this stuff, I feel like I just bypassed all that. Like, and I now I feel like I just see Christmas stuff. Like I went to Costco literally the other day, and you see this giant 11-foot snowman, and I was like, "Oh, it's Christmas," and I was like, "No, it's not."
I don't know if it counts as a monster out moment, but for everybody who's already celebrating Christmas, go fuck yourselves.
Go fuck yourself.
I've seen Rule King is already doing Black Friday sales.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, calm down.
I'm already getting like Amazon things of like, get your gifting in. I'm like, what gifting? Like my birthday? Because it's still October. Like,
right.
I've had such an October that come November, when we start talking about what we're thankful for, I'm gonna just be looking back at October. I'm gonna have so much to talk about. I mean, this has been an October, one of the better ones in some time now, especially for Halloween stuff. For me personally, like, I feel like I've really been in the Halloween spirit. I mean, even before October 1st got here, so I've just been really steeped in it. Just been watching Halloween movies like a motherfucker. Been making the Halloween shorts and stuff, the Halloween music dropping, like all sorts of stuff. So
I was gonna say,
October.
shout out to all of you people that are watching. I will say, to celebrate October on behalf of Chase, Shep, and Priyanka here, watch one Halloween movie, or let us know what your favorite Halloween movie is in the comments.
There you go.
Wherever you're looking. Because I showed my niece. I had my niece over a week ago on Indigenous People Day. And she's 7, and we made brownies. I took her to Olive Garden, all this stuff. But I asked her, I said, have you ever seen my favorite movie, Halloween Town? And she goes, I've never seen Halloween Town. And I showed her Halloween Town on Disney Plus. And she kept saying she's a witch. I love this movie. This is my new favorite movie. And you know what? So for those of you let's ending on a light note, because I don't want my house to be possessed. I just moved in, so only good spirits and cleansing energy. Watch some Halloween Town if you've never seen it.
When Belle and I watched it, I kept thinking of you. I was like, it just feels weird watching this without you.
I know. I was like, what the heck? That's our tradition. Yeah. So on behalf of us, if you watch Halloween Town or any other Halloween movie, tag us down below. We'll find you, and we'll watch. We could have
we'll find you. Period. Full stop.
Period. And we'll watch. We'll group watch on Disney Plus, because I will always stop myself to watch Halloween Town.
Oh hell yeah!
We watched that marathon that one year. It was just playing on a 24-hour loop on YouTube.
Yeah, it was. What was it?
They did it for the first movie, and then the second movie like the next day or the next weekend or something. And we just spent the day with Halloween Town on in the background.
And I could watch that movie a million times.
I think I have seen it a million times.
I can list every single word.
Hocus Pocus ain't got shit on Halloween Town.
The Hocus Pocus second one was a waste of time. Don't even waste your time.
All righty. Well, with that being said, Jesus, priming with these dogs. Okay. I guess we'll shut her down. Priyanka, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I love the paranormal. I love spooky shit.
You got to me.
The fuck out of me, but I love spooky shit.
I've been looking around too. I've been watching like the background of my stuff. Like, ain't nobody sneaking up on me, right?
Yeah, that solid ass wall behind.
Before we go, because remember I told you I got those Dollar Tree skeletons. One time I was just getting water, and they had like a little switch where they go. Let me show you. And I was getting water, and one day I was just sitting there over there. And this motherfucker, this bitch right here, decides to go. You have to like flick this thing on, and it started talking, and that's when I was like, our house is haunted. I can't live here anymore. So.
Oh yeah. All right.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Peace.
Smooches and deuces. We'll see you next time.
Stay spooky.
Always.
Summertime in the apocalypse, I'm smoking on some dro. Gazing deep into the morning sun, I think it's time to go. Cause the horde is rushing up our back, the crew is on the move. Seen a zombie shuffle in some shades of motherfucker smooth. Don't go for the headshot, can't let those bad bitches pop. Gotta get the glasses off the dome, then we give them the drop. Get the twine round that throat, throw on them shades, feeling dope. Turn them guts into a moat. I'm the zombie killing goat, and I'm chilling back in zombie sunglasses. Don't I look real rad ass, bro? Chilling back in these zombie sunglasses, smoking on that dro. I know it's silly, biters hit my neck and I'm like, really? I'm slicing through their shit like I did with a Philly. Fuck what you think, a necromancer making fucking bank. Plus they can't be too sneaky when they really fucking stink. It's about that swag. Plus these biters make me want